Would you try these American foods? Welcome back to the Learn English podcast, the podcast teaching English in context so you can learn naturally. On today's episode, I want to talk about American culture and specifically some unique food items that are relatively common here in the United States, but are not that common in other countries. These are foods that people who are not from the United States might find a little bit odd or even a little bit gross. So if you're interested in learning more about these particular foods, then follow along because we're about to begin. Now let's talk about these American foods. The inspiration for this episode was a trip that I took with my mom to Spain about 2 years ago. When we went to Spain, we noticed some stores that were called Taste of America. And inside the stores, they had some American food products that are relatively common here, but I guess are a lot harder to find in Spain. It was just funny to walk inside and see some of these foods. Some of them are foods that I eat all the time. Some of them were actually things I had never even seen before. I will say that all of them were very expensive, a lot more expensive than if you went to a grocery store here in the United States. So let's start talking about these foods. The first one is one of my personal favorites, and that is root beer. Root beer is a sweetened carbonated beverage, and that is usually called a soda or a soda pop or just a pop. Root beer is usually dark brown in color. I will say that I don't drink that much soda. I don't usually have soda with my meals, but if I do, it is most likely going to be a root beer. It is something that I never get tired of drinking, and I just really enjoy. When you look at the ingredients in root beer, you will see that vanilla is one of the most important ingredients. Besides the vanilla, though, there are some particular spices or flavors in there that add to the flavor profile. I think those are the flavors that are a little bit weird for people. So I have heard that people from other countries have said that root beer tastes like medicine or even mouthwash. If that is how medicine tastes in your country, please give me all of your medicine because I think it is a wonderful flavor. However, I do acknowledge that not everyone likes the taste. So if you have the opportunity, you can try it for yourself and just see if you like it or if it does taste like mouthwash. The next food on our list is peanut butter. And peanut butter is a spread that you put on top of other foods. It is made by taking peanuts, grinding them up, and then maybe adding some other flavors or adding some other ingredients to keep the peanut butter from separating into individual layers. One of the most common ways to eat it, especially for young children, is in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a very long name for this food. So you will hear PB&J. That's something that we say here in the United States. A lot of school children eat it. I will say that I definitely had a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. People have a lot of when they are children and even after they grow up. Now, besides just having it as a spread or in a PB&J, peanut butter is also very common in desserts. I know it might not really sound like it, but peanut butter really goes well with chocolate. Now, I will say that there is a potential issue with peanut butter. Besides just not liking the taste, some people can actually be very allergic to peanuts. If you do have an allergy to peanuts, of course, do not try it. I would recommend trying it though if you can. The third food on our list is a corn dog. A corn dog is a fried food item. You take a piece of meat like a hot dog, you actually put a stick through it, then you make a batter with cornmeal and you deep fry it. Now, I will say that I am vegetarian, so I have never had a real corn dog, something that actually has meat in it, but they do make vegetarian corn dogs. They are a fun food, of course, not something to eat all the time, but they are kind of just one of those foods that Americans do like to eat. During the summertime, a lot of places have state fairs or county fairs. These are usually outdoor events that have a lot of food vendors. At these events, there's a lot of different food vendors that fry foods. So a corn dog is one of those foods that's very common at these state fairs. When you go to these state fairs, you can get almost anything fried. And when I say anything, I mean anything. These are usually very unhealthy foods, but people say they taste really good when they're fried. For example, deep fried Oreos, deep fried Snickers bars, and deep fried butter. State fair foods are known to be very oily, very greasy, but a lot of people say they are very good. During the summertime, if there is a fair, of course, try it and see what's out there, see what other deep fried foods you might experience out there. And now I'm going to apologize to my Italian listeners. So, another weird food that people sometimes don't like is American pizza. In the United States, pizza is super popular. It is one of those foods that people can just eat all the time. But we do some things differently than in Italy. And one of those things is the unique toppings. One of the most popular toppings is pineapple. This was a topping that started out in Hawaii. Hawaii is a chain of islands in the Pacific Ocean that is one of the states in the United States. And pineapples grow there. They have a lot of pineapple. So, pineapple on pizza became a topping there, a popular topping, and it's just spread through the United States. Pineapple with pepperoni or ham is a popular combination for people, and that's a combination that you could try if you wanted to. But I've also seen videos of Italian people trying it and hating it and thinking it's really gross. So it is a little bit controversial. Another thing that could be strange is deep dish pizza. So deep dish pizza has a very thick crust. It is a very tall pizza when you look at it compared to a normal flat pizza. Deep dish pizza is famous for being in Chicago. So if you go to a Chicago pizzeria, you might find a place that has a deep dish pizza, and that is supposed to be where deep dish is the best. And the other thing that we do is stuffed crust. In the crust of the pizza, they actually put cheese. So you have the cheese on the pizza, but you also have the cheese on the crust. And this has become very popular. A lot of pizza chains have stuffed crust. And again, if you are someone who is used to a more traditional pizza, that might be a little bit too much, might be a little bit too much cheese, might be not what you're looking for. Now, our next category, I'm just going to call cheese products. And you're going to see why I call them that in a few seconds. But Americans have some really weird and unique cheese foods. So the first one is canned cheese. This is usually known as the brand name, which is Cheez Whiz. It is what it sounds like. You have a can and a nozzle at the top of the can, and you can spray out cheese. If you've ever seen whipped cream in a can, it's the same type of thing. It has the same type of nozzle, but instead of whipped cream, it's cheese. I guess you could call it cheese. It's really soft and it has a very unique flavor. This is something, again, that you can add to snacks as a spread. People will put it on crackers. It's just one of those unique American foods. Personally, I'm not a big fan. I can't remember the last time I had it, but when you have it, you will know because it has a very unique texture and a very unique flavor. The second type of cheese product is Velveeta cheese. Velveeta cheese is a cheese that has a very low melting point. So you buy this in a block from a grocery store. It comes in a block, but it's very soft. And then when you heat it, it becomes a liquid. But instead of other cheeses that separate into the oil and the dairy part, it stays as one consistent spread. It's just a liquid cheese. People use it in fondue and people also use it in mac and cheese. It does have a unique flavor, so sometimes people don't like that flavor. I can say I'm not a huge Velveeta cheese fan, but again, it is very common. The last cheese product that we're going to talk about is American cheese product. because these cheeses are not real cheese. I think in the European Union, if you sell them, they aren't called cheeses because they don't have enough dairy, and because they're so processed, they don't actually get called cheese. A lot of times it's called American cheese food or American cheese product. It looks like a block, but usually the individual slices are wrapped in plastic. And the reason for this is that American cheese product is very soft and it has a very unique texture to it. Sometimes people say it feels a little bit waxy or almost like plasticky, almost kind of feels like plastic. And like a Velveeta cheese, it has a very low melting point. So people use this a lot when it comes to making a grilled cheese sandwich. The American cheese melts very easily, so a lot of places will use it with the grilled cheese and also in cheeseburgers because it takes a lot less time to melt than a harder cheese. Because it isn't a real cheese, because it does have that unique texture to it, some people just don't like eating it. They don't think it's really that healthy to eat. But I will say, if you do come to the United States, if you get a fast food cheeseburger, you're probably going to have it in there. So you could try it and see if you like it, or if you'd rather have a slice of a real cheese. And our last food is biscuits and gravy. Biscuits, when it comes to American English, means something very different than what it means in British English. When we talk about biscuits here in the United States, it is not a dessert, it is a type of bread product. Think of it almost like a bread roll. It's more similar to that than any type of cookie, any type of dessert for sure. Biscuits are popular in the South, in the southern part of the United States. They are very famous for having really good biscuits. And if you go to a restaurant that is a southern style restaurant, you'll probably find them on the menu. So because they are similar to a bread roll, you can just have biscuits by themselves. You can have them with your meal as your bread option with your meal. That is a popular way to have them. And there's different variations. Personally, I really like buttermilk biscuits. It's one of my favorite things to make, one of my favorite things to eat. When I talk about biscuits and gravy, you take biscuits and then you pour some type of gravy on it and then you eat it. So this is something that people can even have for breakfast. It is something, again, that's more popular in the southern part of the United States. You can find it probably in any place that you go to in the United States, but it is more popular in the South, and it's probably better tasting if you do go to the southern part of the US. Now, the reason why people don't like it is that it looks a little bit strange. You have this bread and then you have this sometimes gray, sometimes brown gravy poured on top of it. So sometimes people will say that it looks unappetizing. It doesn't look very good. Sometimes people also just don't like that combination and they don't like the taste. I will say that I've never had biscuits and gravy. Like I said, I'm vegetarian. Usually the gravy is a meat gravy made with a meat base. So I've never tried it. And because I'm not from the South, I've never even thought about trying it really. I've seen it on menus, but it never occurred to me to order it because it's just not one of the foods I ever grew up with. However, if you do come to the United States, if you see it on a menu on a place that sells Southern food, or especially if you go to one of the Southern states, try it. You can try it and see what you think. So I hope you enjoyed learning about these foods. Maybe you want to try some. Maybe you have tried some. If you have tried any of these, please let me know in the comments. Tell me what you thought about it, if it was better than what people are saying, if it was worse than what people are saying, or if you've tried some other American food that you thought maybe wasn't so good. This is a very brief list. There was a lot more things that I could put on here. So if you want to learn more about some unique American foods, if you would like another episode like this in the future, please let me know because I definitely have more foods that I could include on this list that I did not include in this episode. If you like the episode, if you like the podcast, if it's helping you learn English, please consider leaving us a rating on whatever app you're using to listen to this podcast on. You can also tell a friend, tell a family member, tell someone who is learning English so we can continue to grow our audience. You can follow us on social media at Learn English Pod. The website is learnenglishpod.com. And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode when it comes out next week. Until then, keep learning English.